Good morning, everyone. And boy, oh boy, we love talking to Lauren Merkle because he has some ideas of how you can save a little now for spending a little later. But what he's talking about this morning is really going to be opening up a lot of eyes, making people sit on the edge of their seat because they're going, excuse me, I can retire early. Well, if you have it all planned out, you possibly could.
Yeah, let's fantasize a little bit this morning with the Merkle Retirement Minute. Lauren, thank you so much for being here. It's 2020. Let's start dreaming big and get us on the right path towards a possible early retirement.
Yeah, that's right. It seems like those under 50 always dream about this thing of retiring early, right? Because we go through the work week. Some weeks are better than other weeks. The weekends are just wonderful. You got all this time to do whatever you want.
Right.
And you're thinking about this day when you can do whatever you want every single day.
Isn't that great?
And it is a dream. And for some people, it just keeps them going.
Right.
But what we see is once people get over the age of 50, whether it's reality kind of sets in or they just really like what they are doing, that almost half of workers 50 and over don't anticipate retiring until age 65. Now, the median retirement age is 62. That might surprise a lot of people.
Really?
So a lot of people are
They are
retiring
taking the
early.
early way.
At 62, but almost half of workers 50 and over don't anticipate retiring until 65. So there's a disconnect there.
Okay.
Because you get into a groove and you're doing well and you see I'm guessing you see the income coming in and you're saying, I don't want to give this up.
It's a little bit different for everybody.
Yeah.
Sometimes, a lot of times, it's income driven.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's purpose driven because you work for 40 years and this is, for many people, becomes an identity.
That's true, too.
It becomes a real purpose of the reason they get out of bed in the morning.
Yep.
Right.
And it's a hard thing to wake up one day and say, now what do I do? What do I do?
It sounds silly, but that's reality of the matter.
So we have these two segments of the population who really dream about one day waking up and saying, what do I do? and this other segment, it really becomes frightful. And that's regardless of which segment you're in or what your ambitions really are, whether you want to retire early or you don't want to retire early, the plan is so necessary to do so.
Should that always be the goal? Like even if it doesn't happen, aim as if you were going to retire early?
It's very interesting because, again, that same demographic, 50 and above, 56% of them are involuntarily forced out of their job.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So that's a great point, Jackie. Whether you want to retire early or you want to continue to work, you need to be prepared because a lot of times you can't control it.
Your hand might be forced.
Whether it's due to health conditions or whether it's the employer who says, we just don't have a place for you anymore.
Yeah.
And we see that all the time.
All the time.
Probably at least a couple times a month where the employer has said goodbye,
Right.
and now they have to kind of pick up the pieces and figure out what to do going forward.
Right. Is it realistic to retire early and still live a comfortable lifestyle?
Very, very realistic, very realistic. But it's all about the preparation that you put into place. The preparation that you put into when you do retire, regardless of what time, how are you going to be able to afford it? At point of retirement, but also beyond.
Now, for those people that are retiring early, what are they retiring to? Is there a certain percentage of what their annual income is that they settle on, or how does that all work?
It's very interesting. There's actually a very large percentage that don't have any retirement savings. Don't have any retirement savings.
None?
Have no retirement savings. So they're very dependent upon, in some cases, a pension, but also Social Security. But the people the audience, we don't want them to be in that position.
No, not at all.
Right, so that's why the preparation really comes into play. So take advantage of the employer plans while you have them. Many people who work for an employer, and especially with the Secure Act now, it's making it easier for small employers to offer a retirement plan. In some states, actually, they're starting to mandate small businesses to make contributions on behalf of employees to an IRA. But take advantage of it regardless. So contribute to the 401k plans, identify, does it make sense to contribute to the pre-tax side or to the Roth side? But either way, make sure you're putting some money away for that day when you can no longer
And you say that the
work.
easiest way and the best way to do this is to automate all this so you're not physically having to go in every month and put some of this money away.
One of the hardest parts about retirement planning is just to get started. And the automation of retirement planning has made it much easier to just get started. And the other thing is once you get started, a couple years go by and your accounts just kind of gradually build. And number one is motivating. You get the statement on a monthly basis and you see that you're having some retirement savings, you're having some retirement savings success, and that encourages you. That there's a psychology behind that. And then also, if you can automate an increase every year, again, it just takes that one less step, one less obstacle out of increasing your retirement savings. So most employer plans do have an automated effect to it, whether it's starting contributions or increasing them every year. And definitely take advantage of it, because when it comes time for you not to work, whether by choice or by involuntary force out, you're going to be much happier for it.
Yeah, that automation, just a small percentage of what your income is. In most cases, you're not going to notice that, but that money is going to a great place, your pocket.
Most people aren't going to notice it. In fact, there's a lot of people who don't even know it's being increased, right? So they have more money going into their savings and they don't even realize, because they forgot they set it up that way.
Right.
So you're not going to notice it most likely, and you will notice it in a very important event when you can't work anymore.
What's the biggest thing you can tell our viewers this morning? Besides, I know there's a lot behind it, and that's why they need to come and talk to you or check out one of your classes. But if you're going to say anything to our viewers today, it's like, if you have the dream of retiring early or just want to be prepared for that, what do you need to do right now?
Education is the most important part, because the more information you have to help you make these decisions, the better decisions you're probably going to make. But also, going back to the psychology, the more motivated you are to accomplish these goals, because this retirement planning stuff, it's tricky. And there's a lot to it. It kind of reminds me, this weekend I was working on some house projects, and I cannot do electrical to save my life. I was just trying to fix some simple light switches.
Okay.
And I've been putting this job off for a long time because I know I don't like it.
Right.
Because I don't know electricity. I don't know the electrical components. For many people, retirement planning is the same way. So you put it off, you procrastinate. It's something you don't want to deal with, you don't want to think about. So education is key, because then it takes the fright out of it. You get started with the planning, and again, then you become excited about it as you see your account values grow, as you see your actual retirement plan come to fruition.
And when do we need that education? When should we start that education and that planning to start putting some money away?
Start today.
Yeah, exactly.
Start today.
Yesterday.
we talk about retirement. There's all kinds of resources out there today. If you just go to our YouTube page, we have a lot of different information out there on pretty much anything that you can encounter throughout the pre-retirement to retirement phase. That's a good place to start, but there's also a lot of other good resources online as well.
Now, you mentioned a couple possibilities that could put you into the retirement status, including maybe a buyout of your employment, like an early retirement buyout. What do you suggest for people that had that happen to them?
For those workers who are really approaching that 60 to 62 age, many employers, especially the bigger employers, are buying them out. They're saying, I'll give you a year's worth of severance, I'll pay for some of your health care, and you go retire. And with that, and sometimes they don't even have a choice.
Right.
So sometimes they have the choice to take it, sometimes they don't have a choice, but that's, again, comes back to the planning to make sure. And one of the biggest obstacles for people who are getting this type of buyout is health care, because many times they're under the age of 65.
Okay.
So now it comes down to, how do you plan for the gap between whatever age you are, 63 to 65, from a healthcare standpoint? And if you already have the basics of your plan in place, it does make that event less stressful.
Okay.
Less stressful, and you have a lot better probability of getting to that age 65. Because one of the biggest obstacles of a successful retirement is taking too much money out of your savings too early. So if you're in that situation, you're 62 years old, the employer says goodbye, they give you a 12-month severance. 63, you need to start taking income from somewhere if you haven't found another job.
Right.
But if you take an overwhelming percentage out of your retirement savings, that will just exacerbate the dissolution of your retirement savings, which means you could be in trouble at age 70, 75. And by that point, you're probably not going to be able to go back to work even if you wanted to.
Right. And some are checking out phased retirement.
The phased retirement is really in vogue right now.
Okay.
Because many people, as we mentioned, want to work till 65, but many people aren't able to full-time at the long-term employer that they've been with.
Okay.
So what they're doing is they're saying, let's go find another job somewhere. I'm not making nearly as much money as I used to, but that's okay because it still works within the plan. And what they're finding is they actually enjoy that work much better than what they did for the last 30 years with their long-term employer. So it's not only helping them from an overall emotional standpoint, but it's also helping the probability of a successful retirement, because they do have some income coming in through those really critical years, so they're not taking too much out of their employer.
And what's the target for that additional employment? Are they trying to take care of the health care costs, or what is usually the...
Most of them right now are just trying to obtain health care.
Yeah.
As opposed to going to the open market, spending $2,000, $2,500 a month on just health care. They can find a part-time job, maybe working 25, 30 hours a week, get the health care taken care of through that employment. And even if they make a little bit on top, which of course they do, that's not what they're really concerned about. They're just concerned about the health care piece of it for many people.
While still staying active, having a purpose in your day, and everything else that goes along with it.
And making that gradual transition to the time where they don't have to go someplace every
A lot of
single
things
day.
to consider, but we need to find out when your classes are coming up, because it is 2020, obviously, and we need to figure out that.
Yeah, go to our website, merkleclass.com, and you'll see a whole list of the different classes that we have. We have classes specifically geared towards those who have not retired yet, so the audience essentially that we're talking about here today. And then we have classes that are geared to those who have already retired. They made some of the key decisions, like retiring, taking Social Security, but now they want to boost what it is that they've already done. So we have different classes depending upon what phase of your life that you're in, so we can really narrow in on some of the concerns or the decisions that you still have yet to make within your retirement plan.
I love it. So
pretty cool.
merkleclass.com, Journey to Retirement, like we're talking today, Boost, or even women. You have it specifically for us, too, to kind of break it down as well.
We do. There's some unique challenges from there. Part of the challenges is that you're expected to live longer than
Because
men.
ladies live longer. That's
Yeah.
why.
We got to plan a little bit more.
You're expected to live longer than men, and those last few years of your life are generally the most expensive from a healthcare standpoint.
Right.
Sure.
There was somebody I was talking to the other day. They have a relative that's in a long-term care facility. There's only one gentleman in that facility. Everybody else is women. There's like 150 people in the facility.
Lucky guy.
So yeah, there's a large percentage of people who are in these facilities, which cost a lot of money.
Yes.
Right.
Somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000 a month right now, and the vast majority of them are women because they're living longer. And that's why there's a study out there that says most women can expect to outlive their retirement savings by a full 11 years.
11 years.
That's why we have a class specifically geared to women, because there's challenges that us guys just don't have to face, and there's some extra planning that's necessary.
Okay.
Merkleclass.com.
Merkleclass.com, but more importantly, what did we learn today? Educate yourself and start saving today, and get with the experts so you can do it the best way possible. Thank you, Lauren, for joining us today. Great information as we're heading into 2020. Maybe we can retire early.
What time you got? Okay. Hey, don't